Failure is success. And in my story, I'll tell you how. I make babies for a living, and my job as a doctor does not involve death or disease. I am an IVF specialist, and the process of IVF means we fuse the egg and the sperm outside the body, make the embryos outside, and put these embryos back in the uterus, hoping that they succeed. It will surprise you that only 1 out of 5 human embryos is capable enough to turn into a baby. So, failure is programmed into human beings even before the life begins. This means that whenever couples start a treatment, only half of them will reach their target of a healthy baby at term. Most of them, either they will fail an IVF cycle, or even if the embryos stick around, the pregnancy might end in a miscarriage. So when we deal with IVF, we deal with failure every single day. The couples who finally take home a baby are the ones who have the endurance to endure failure and yet not stop their journey, keep going till they reach their goal of having a baby. It was 5 years ago when I was visiting a small place to see some patients, and in the morning we decided to go and visit some temples nearby. This temple city of Orcha is very famous for the Lord Rama temples that it has, and the big temple complex is spread across acres. My assistant wanted me to visit the temples on the other side. And guess what I told her? At that time, I was 20 kg overweight, my sugars were on the border, and leave alone running, even walking a few meters would leave me breathless. I told her that if we walk so much, we will be very tired and we will not have the energy to see patients in the afternoon. Then, on our way back from the camp, a news popped up on my mobile, and it was that Milind Soman, at the age of 50, had completed the toughest endurance event, that is the Ironman competition. The Ironman competition involves a 3.8-kilometer swim, a 180-kilometer cycle ride, followed immediately by a 42-kilometer run, all to be done in continuation without any breaks in between. Milind had achieved this feat in 15 odd hours. This really blew my mind. Milind Soman, as all of you know, is the heartthrob of every girl of the 90s. And professionally, he is an actor with lot of professional commitments, but how he would have taken out the time to complete this feat was just mind-boggling. The next day morning, it was a Monday, it was work as usual. I was counseling a couple whose IVF had failed, and in fact it had failed for the second time. We went over their records and we discussed what things we have to do next time when we start their cycle, and I gently told them, let us try one more time. At this point, the lady was sobbing softly and she stopped sobbing. She looked at me and she asked, कहना बहुत आसान है, meaning it's easy to say. आपका साइकिल फेल नहीं हुआ है, आप नहीं समझ सकते. These words, spoken out of raw grief, just shook me internally. As a doctor, I expected my patients to have a lot of endurance, to have the strength to bear a loss, to have the strength to bear a failure, yet pick themselves all over again, improve whatever could be improved, and then embark on this tough journey of IVF again. But did I have it in me to do the same? Did I have it in me to take a challenge which was a physical challenge, a mental challenge, a financial challenge, and prepare myself for it, knowing very well that it was a possibility that I could not complete it, that I could fail? And it was at that moment that I decided, at the age of 40, with no athletic background, having never run in my life, had cycled only when I was in school, and with a morbid fear of water, that in 5 years' time, I'll do the Ironman. I started training for it, building up slowly and gradually. And as I trained, I understood that the Ironman triathlon journey is so much like the journey of infertility. The first leg of the triathlon is the swim. So you swim in open water, coming up just to breathe, and then your head is back inside again. Stroke after stroke for the long distance of 3.8 kilometers, you are in the open water. You're braving the waves, but just like in swim, you can't muscle your way into a fast swim. You need technique. You need a training. Similarly, when it comes to an IVF journey, you require the technology and the skill. Just muscling your way through a cycle, only enthusiasm will not take you anywhere. Just like in swim, you need a coach who can tell you how to improve yourself and get better. Similarly, in IVF, you need a doctor to hold your hands. The doctor may be on the shore but is keeping a keen eye on how things are going and making sure that you complete your goal. You're barely out of the swim and you have to lunge headlong again into the next leg, that is the bike. And the bike, mind you, is a 180-kilometer long arduous ride. Similarly, in the infertility journey, you emerge from one procedure immediately to be thrown into the next without even as a breather in between. Now the next leg. In cycling, you have to keep pedaling, otherwise you fall. You can't think that you are tired and you can stop pedaling for a while. Similarly, in the infertility journey, it might find you physically and mentally tired, but you have to go on, otherwise your race ends there. Sometimes you face so much resistance from the family, from the society, that it feels like you are just riding uphill, you are pedaling, but you're not reaching anywhere. And sometimes what happens is, people who began their infertility journey with you, you see them overtaking you and reaching the finish line. That is, your friends, the patients who were undergoing the cycle with you, are positive, they're going on to have a baby, and there you are, still on the course, still pedaling. One small step on the bike course, one small inattention, and you can fall and crash and end your race. Similarly, one small mistake in the entire procedure of the IVF and it can have really fatal complications. Now, with all this arduous training of 5 years, slowly easing myself into the endurance world, I was ready to be on the start line of my first ever half distance Ironman, which was in Kazakhstan last year on the 14th of August. Many times we feel that our failures are going to come from our weaknesses, and my weakness was the swim. I had learned to swim just 1.5 months ago, and I had ventured into open water just 2 or 3 times before I brought myself to the race. But life always gives you failure from unexpected circumstances. So, the first triathlon I failed, I did not finish it properly, and it was because of a small oversight in the run route. So I missed a turn and I missed a loop in the run course, because of which I did not cover the entire distance of 21 kilometers which was there, and as a result I did not finish the race successfully. I did finish the swim in time, I did finish the bike in time, but because of this 5-kilometer short in the run course, I did not finish it successfully. It was really shattering for me because a lot of effort of 5 years, a lot of money, a lot of mental and physical investment had gone into it, and it had come to nothing. And all of it not because of any physical impediment, but because of a very small oversight on my part. But probably God sent me on this Ironman journey just to experience failure. Just as I expected my patients to get up after a failure and try again, I again enrolled myself for another triathlon which was to happen in the next 3 months at Goa. I went over every small thing that led to that oversight. We had changed our flights last minute. So instead of reaching the venue 3 days before, we had reached the venue just 1 day before the race. I did not have enough time to do the route recce 1 day before, otherwise this mistake would not have happened. So I went through everything, this time making sure that I do not do such oversights, and finally I finished the Goa 70.3 Ironman race successfully. But my dream was the full Ironman. The full Ironman is double the distance of the half Ironman, but it is at least 4 times as tough, because here you have to continuously be on the road for 16 and a half hours, and they're very hard intermediate cutoffs. So you have to finish your swim, your bike and your run in a particular time. Otherwise, you're taken off the course and your race ends. So I registered for the Ironman Barcelona and I found myself at the start line just 16 hours away from my dream of becoming the Ironman. I had the experience of one failure and I thought I was well prepared this time and all set to hear the words, Priya, you are an Ironman. But probably God wanted me to see another failure. I started on the swim course, and as the sun rose, there started a very strong westward current which just prevented any progress for me, and my swim became very, very slow. I was swimming and swimming and swimming, but I realized I was not getting ahead. The current was just stopping us from moving forward. As a result, the swim, which was to be finished in the cutoff time of 2 hours and 20 minutes, I exceeded that cutoff. And they picked me up from the sea, put me on a boat, and told me that my race ended there. So, I came back to the country, having neither biked nor run. My race prematurely aborted, again because of something which was this time not in my control. It was the forces of nature that led to my failure. So, many times in the IVF journey too, we do everything right. The doctor does everything to the T, everything is done perfectly, we follow all the instructions, we do everything, but there is some element of luck or some element of unknown which prevents us from reaching our finish line. Definitely, it never gets less disappointing. I was very disappointed, but as I said, God probably set me on this Ironman journey to learn all about failure. So here I am, training very, very hard again, making sure that even if there is a current, I am strong enough to overcome it and finishing the swim and the bike and the run within cutoff. I will soon be at the starting line of another Ironman and I will not stop, just as I don't want any of my patients to stop before they have a healthy baby in their hands. I will not stop until I hear the magical words, Priya Bhave Chittawar, you are an Ironman.